अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of Hafta. This is the 393rd episode, which we're recording on the 11th of August, a Thursday at 4:07 in the late afternoon. Before I introduce the panel, by the time you listen to this, many of you, it may be Independence Day by then, if you don't listen to it already on Saturday. And we have an Independence Day package. We have Independence Day goodies. We have an Independence Day subscription offer. All that is available in the link below in the show notes. So do check it out. I will tell you more about it later on in the show. But first, let me introduce the panel and then Jayashree will tell us the headlines. Joining me in the studio here in Delhi are my colleagues Raman, Kirpal.
Hi.
Anand, Vardhan.
Hello.
Joining me from Zoom on the internet lines is our colleague from Chennai, Jayashree. Hi, Jayashree.
Hi.
And joining us is our guest today, Sanjay Kumar. Hi, Sanjay. So, a little about you to our audience. Sanjay is a professor with CSDS, author and a political analyst. His core area of research is electoral politics. He's been published widely and written several books, edited volumes, and published articles in various national and international research journals. His most recent book is Elections in India, an Overview. His other publications include Post-Mandal Politics in Bihar, Changing Electoral Patterns, Changing Electoral Politics in Delhi, From Caste to Class, amongst other stuff that he's written. So welcome, Sanjay. Your latest book that seems very broad, Elections in India, an Overview. Like, how broad is that?
I've just tried to look at the broad patterns and trends in Indian elections over the last 70 years, ever since the first election. About the turnout, how turnout has increased, who are voting more, who are voting less, what has contributed to increased electoral participation, and several other issues. So it is looking at India's elections since the very first election till 2019.
I see. And the Center for Study of Developing Societies is what the full form of CSDS is. What exactly does this organization do? Is it to have a specific focus area, or they just support research on anything to do with political and social aspects?
You're right. This is a social science research organization, Center for the Study of Developing Societies. Next year, we would be completing 60 years. So this has been in existence for last 60 years. I and a couple of my other colleagues work on core politics. My core area of research is elections, voting behavior. But we have other faculty members who work on different other themes which cannot be connected to elections. So yes, you're right that this is a research organization where we do the core activities doing research and dissemination of the findings of the research for wider audience.
And do you have any fellowship program, etc., that our audience can go click on the links to and apply? You have
no,
fellowship?
We don't have a fellowship program. There was a time when we had some fellowship programs, but at the moment, the funding environment doesn't allow us to have a fellowship program on our own.
I see. You should open a channel and run Sarkari ads. You'll be able to fund gazillions of fellowships. In fact, right now before I came down, I saw another press conference of Arvind Kejriwal being carried live by all the channels. You see, no matter what, when he says something, everyone carries it live. Coincidentally, he's also got a lot of ads on all the channels. But before we get into the political discussions, and you'll be thrilled with the discussion because we have two heavyweights from Bihar telling us about Bihar, and I will in the middle give you the most incredible and sometimes even completely incredulous theories.
We'll have more questions than answers.
But first, let's get the accurate and factual headlines from Jayashree.
Yeah, so this is the headlines for the week. After quitting the BJP-led NDA on Tuesday, JDU Chief Nitish Kumar has taken oath as Chief Minister of Bihar, this time with the RJD-led Grand Alliance. Tejaswee Yadav will be his Deputy Chief Minister. Opposition leaders have lauded his decision, saying this is a strong indictment of the BJP's politics of intimidation. In Bengal, the CBI has arrested the first two people in connection with the SSE scam. They've arrested former advisory committee chairperson Shanti Prasad Sinha and former secretary Ashok Saha. In Karnataka, communal clashes broke out in Kirpal district. At least 2 people have been killed so far. The police said it was over an interfaith relationship between a Hindu boy and a Muslim girl. I think this is one of several communal violence issues that are broken out in the state. The Supreme Court today has refused to consider the question of de-recognizing political parties who resort to freebies, saying de-recognition of parties is undemocratic, will not go into all that. They said that also freebies must be differentiated from welfare schemes in the government. Former West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar has been sworn in as the 14th Vice President of India. And Justice U.U. Lalit has been appointed the next Chief Justice of India. He'll take charge on August 27th. The Supreme Court has granted bail on medical grounds to Varavara Rao, the activist who has been arrested in the Bhima Koregaon case. He was arrested in August 2018. The Supreme Court has also directed the clubbing and transfer of all FIRs lodged across the country against Nupur Sharma to the Delhi police. And Sharma's interim protection has also been extended. Also in the Supreme Court, it said on Wednesday that it will hear a petition seeking a lifetime ban on contesting elections for persons convicted of crimes. So this is quite a broad thing. The Delhi Commission for Women has issued a notice to the police asking them to register a case against actor Mukesh Khanna because he said that women who desire sex from men are like prostitutes.
So does he have any family? Does he have children, Mukesh Khanna? Does anyone know?
Oh, idea.
I'm wondering. Anyway, I have a joke for this, which we'll come to later.
Nitin Gadkari has said that the work of bureaucrats and officers in the government is to only say yes, sir, and implement whatever we, the ministers, are saying. He said the governments do not function on the wishes of bureaucrats.
This is what I was told when I was on the set of, which I've been told, I keep saying that I was on this, but this is how production assistants are treated. I remember sometimes you'll give your pelo or gyan, and you were told by the heads of department, as production assistant on a film set, your motto is that of the soldier. Ours is not to question why, ours is to do and die. If we tell you to put the camera on your head and dance, you do that even. Don't ask us why. So I think that is something that bureaucrats have to be trained by Mr. Gadkari.
But that's not true in
obviously.
case.
They clear such. But I'm just saying, Mr. Gadkari treats bureaucrats like production assistants on a film set.
Yeah, it's like a non-humorous episode of Yes Minister.
Yeah.
The value of Narendra Modi's movable assets has increased by over 26 lakhs during 21-22. It's now valued at 2.23 crore, according to his website. The center has approved Hyderabad-based drug maker Biological E's Corbevax as a precautionary dose for those above 18 years and who are fully vaccinated.
Now they have a lot mixing of
cocktails, right?
Vaccines.
3 soldiers were killed, 2 more injured in an attack on an army post in Jammu and Kashmir. 2 militants were allegedly shot dead during the attack. US tennis great Serena Williams announced on Tuesday that the countdown has begun to her retirement. And finally, former US President Donald Trump invoked the Fifth Amendment and refused to answer any questions during an investigation into his business dealings.
And yesterday, they've raided his Florida residence, the FBI. Mar-a-Lago residence. So yeah, all sorts of action happening there. So before we get into the most exciting developments of the week, which is Bihar, it's Independence Day and Rakhi within a few days of each other. So celebrate it with the Newslaundry gift hamper. So if you have to give a gift to your brother or your sister, you can also support independent journalism while also giving a gift that is both has utility and quality. So go to the link below or go to newslaundry.com/independence-day-offer, or you can just click on the link below. So wish everybody a happy Raksha Bandhan, and also you can check out our Kashmir Ki Kahani comic, which is actually doing quite well. So I highly recommend you guys buy that as well. Now, on that note, let me first go to Sanjay. Sanjay, you've written books on this post-Mandal politics in Bihar and politics in Delhi from caste to class. I'm guessing from the title, your thesis is that Delhi class matters, caste doesn't. But Bihar, it still does. Is that right? Could you elaborate on that?
I'm not looking at the politics of Delhi or Bihar in two sharp extremes, binaries. But what I'm trying to say in these 2 books is that in a city or a state like Delhi, it is class which is more important for voting choices compared to caste. I'm not saying that caste doesn't matter at all. And in Bihar, it is caste which dominates political mobilization by political parties, by leaders. So that's the basic difference between the politics of these two states. But I must say that I didn't write the two books because I saw right from the beginning that the politics of these two states are different. I wrote a book on Bihar because, as I mentioned earlier, I come from that state and I've been watching that state right from the beginning, and I wanted to write something on long-term politics of Bihar. That is how I I ended up writing a book on Bihar. But Delhi also I have been tracking since a long time. So these are the two books which looks at the same issue, voting patterns. What is the dominant consideration of voters? How do they decide which party or which candidate to vote for?
So we'll, of course, get into the more nitty-gritties of this political development. Context, for those of you who are living under a rock and don't know, Nitish Kumar has abandoned the BJP alliance and has tied up with his old ally, the RJD, and the other parties also supporting them. I think the left is also supporting them. And he has been sworn in again as Chief Minister, and Lalu Yadav's son, Tejaswi, has been sworn as Deputy Chief Minister, and he's giving a interview. In fact, just before we came to record, I was watching his interview with a swagger and confidence I haven't seen in a long time in him. So much of the swagger and confidence that he had hitched up his kurta and was tying his nada on camera. So I was like, that's confidence complete. So, Anand, briefly, I would like to ask both of you, could anyone have seen this coming? Because on every other political such upheaval in the last 4 or 5 years, and there have been various Operation Kamals and the other way around, there's a build-up, climax, hotels, resorts, 20, 23, 24, 28. Here, bloody, before the reporters knew what was happening, it had happened. Like, how do you explain that? Is there anything that can this be explained by Nitish Kumar's cunning, or by any other reasons, or just people are complacent?
No, I think from BJP point of view, if they wanted to make any move, the ideal time would have been, as I earlier also said, after Lok Sabha elections 2024. If they wanted to somehow disturb this arrangement. But from Nitish's point of view, it is always a question of when, not if. So it was always the question, and he had a very high level of discomfort the moment he ended up on having only 46 seats, and it was very difficult for him to reconcile to the fact that he is the junior partner in Bihar, and he could see the trouble. BJP, with all its limitations and all its aggressive drive in the state, was trying to assuage him for different regions. It was on defensive and on offensive at the same time, and it was a tightrope walk that it could not maintain for a long time. So we will get into more details, I think. Sanjay,
what about you? How do you explain the suddenness of it? As Arnab would have said, the suddenness of the action, the absolute surprise element. Like, there was no build-up, no one had heard anything, and suddenly this happened.
No, I disagree that there was no build-up. The build-up started right from the time of Assembly elections 2020, when Chirag Paswan decided to contest against Nitish Kumar, and he openly declared that, he's going to destroy Nitish Kumar. He wants to contest against Nitish Kumar. Was the time, and Nitish Kumar waited at that time that there would be some statement from BJP criticizing what Chirag Paswan is doing, but BJP kept quiet. Nitish Kumar kept quiet because he was still hoping that he may not be able to damage JDU's prospects. But after the verdict of 2020, when Nitish Kumar's party ended up being the third at number 3, Nitish Kumar was absolutely angry. He may not have expressed that in public, but right from that time, and after that, though it was BJP's own decision of moving Sushil Modi from Bihar to Delhi and having 2 deputy chief ministers. So right from the time of elections election results, the way ministry was formed. BJP might say that we made him the chief minister, so he should not have any grudge. We made him the chief minister, even though he had lesser number of seats. But the way things were unfolding, having two deputy chief ministers, etc., and last 6, 7, 8 months, statements coming out against Nitish Kumar, statement by BJP leaders against the way government is being run,
and him not showing up for the Niti Aayog meeting and
yes,
earlier meetings with the PM.
Those were the outbursts of a different kind.
Mm-hmm.
When people become angry, there are two kinds of reactions. Some people shout and some people just keep absolutely quiet. They don't speak. So Nitish Kumar decided to, keep quiet. कहते हैं ना कि बिल्कुल नाराज होकर के इतना नाराज हो गए कि आप you don't want to say anything. I disagree that there was no build-up. There was a build-up, and there were lots of talks about this is likely to happen. But yes, it happened all of a sudden. That may have come to many of us as a surprise that why it all happened overnight.
So,
so was this push for a caste census and all part of this sort of growing rift? Like, could that also be read as part of it?
Anand, you want to take that question? Do you see that the caste census played a role in this? Or?
No, that is not. I think there are two parts to look at. First is the essential, which is the boring part for the outsiders, and the other is the set of immediate factors. The essential part, which Sanjay would be most familiar with, in my reckoning, is that if you see from 1990 to 2022, in 32 years, the post-Mandal churn, except 1995, there has not been a single political party in Bihar which has been in a position to form a government on its own. And if you see 2022 General Assembly elections, it was a classic election. You compare the tally list with any state in India, leave alone the Hindi heartland. You see a number of political parties with number of ideological persuasions getting seats. You have Owaisi's party, the left parties getting 16 seats, which are almost irrelevant in other parts of the Hindi heartland. And you always have the Lohiyite parties like RJD and JDU. Then you have the nationalist party like BJP getting seats. So this kind of diversity of political support you hardly see in any Hindi heartland state. Also in any other state, you compare the tally. It was the elections went to the wire. But even before that, when there were massive landslide victories in Bihar elections, there were alliance victories.
Not a one party.
There were alliance victories. Even the last fully RJD-headed government in 2000 was formed with the support of the Congress. The first Janata Dal government that Lalu Yadav headed, ironically, was first formed by support of BJP, and later when the VP Singh's withdrawal of support came. So what I mean to say is that in the post-Mandal period, no single political party has the social base, across pan-Bihar social base, to have a, the sole claim on power.
Or even a significant one.
So it has thrown up three big blocks. One is JDU, RJD and BJP.
In fact, if I could just, cut in to make your point, I'm just giving the breakdown of the assembly of Bihar right now, which is 243 seats. 75 seats are with the Rashtriya Janata Dal. That's the largest. Bharatiya Janata Party just one seat behind with 74. JDU has 43, which is like significantly less than the other two. But they have the chief minister.
And it has changed because of RJD managed to win away 4 MLAs of OS's party,
Right.
and BJP managed to get 3 or 4 members of Vikashshil Insan Party, VIP party. So it has changed. But so the social blocks, the social bases have thrown 3 major, even in this complex mix, there are 3 parties. So one block is BJP, which is large enough, and RJD. Now, the question that many analysts should be asking, what gives Nitish the space of maneuverability? Because of this nature of the mandates that Bihar has been throwing up.
That's why he has, he
yes,
can
because,
sit on both sides and still not.
Because BJP and RJD, because of different voter base, ideological reasons, have cancelled out each other. So the only movable piece is Nitish's party, and he has the space to move either this way and that way. And the Machiavellian that he is, a master craftsman, he's a kind of politician who takes no prisoners. Totally emotionless politics, very, very crafty. So he has that space because of the kind of mandates. Even the 2010 elections, for a big state in India, it had the largest landslide. I think they got BJP and JDU 188 seats out of 243. But JDU was 115, I think. So even then, it was not making that mark.
But that's all the video we have. The rest of the hafta will be available on audio only. So do check it out, and check out the Independence Day and the Raksha Bandhan packages we have for you, because we don't take any ads. When the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Check out the rest of the podcast on audio. The subscription model is something that keeps Newslaundry afloat, but we need hundreds of thousands of people to completely transform the news ecosystem. So you pay for news, so it serves you. So click on the link with this video, subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free, और गर्व से कहो, मेरे खर्च पर आज़ाद है खबरें.